Well, hello again everybody and welcome to part 3 of my Xbox 360 collection. Let's go ahead and jump on into the games, shall we? And we're going to start off with a game called Hunted: The Demon's Forge. A friend of mine from work who was all excited because this is a Bethesda game and he loves Fallout, Skyrim and all those kind of games. I picked it up cheap online, played a little bit of it one day, and it was kind of cool, but it deserves more time. Now we're going to jump back into another one of the RPGs I mentioned in the previous videos, the small group of 360 like exclusive RPGs that I wanted to get. And this one is from Square Enix and it's Infinite Undiscovery. I don't have any clue what that title means, Undiscovery, but I haven't played any of this game. Like I said, I'm just excited that I have it in my collection to play someday. Okay, up next is a game. The cover doesn't really tell you much unless you recognize this, but it is Kameo, and I can't even see in the darkness here. Kameo Elements of Power. This was a game that I wanted to pick up because I remember it being one of the early games that I saw for the 360 in the magazines and online. And I played a little bit of it one day, and it's kind of cool. I mean, I like it. It probably warrants more time to give it a fair assessment, though. Alright, next up we have Kane and Lynch Dead Men. And kind of like the Army of Two games, this was something I read about and saw things about in Game Informer and other magazines, so I wanted to get it in my collection, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and play it. I do not have the sequel, but someday I hope to pick that up. Now we're about to buzz through a couple of my Kinect related games. First up is Kinect Adventures. This is the Kinect game that actually comes with the Kinect, whether you buy it separately or in the console version. And it's fine. It's just a bunch of random assorted games that take advantage of the Kinect abilities. They give you a workout, I can tell you that much, as do the next two games, which is Kinect Sports and Kinect Sports Season 2. I would call these basically Microsoft's way of ripping off Wii Sports. Not that ripping off is necessarily a bad thing in this, because I believe the Kinect gives you a more accurate, motion sensitive experience than the Wii does. So why not give you the chance to play actual sports, soccer, baseball, football, track, you know, you name it. There's all kinds of sports on these, and once again, good games for a workout. And then the last one here in my Kinect section is Kinectimals, and this was something that I bought for my daughter because I figured she'd get a kick out of it, which she did. She really enjoyed it, but like a lot of other things, she grew tired of it and doesn't play it anymore. But it's a really neat game. It combines stuff from like Kinect Adventures and Kinect Sports in a setting where a kid can take it at their own pace and they get to play with a virtual animal. Alright, the next game up here is Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, which is a somewhat notorious action RPG style game, kind of an offshoot of a game like even Skyrim, but also like Dragon's Dogma over on the PS3. The notoriety for this game comes from Big Huge Games, which was the company that developed it, which was helmed by former big league pitcher Curt Schilling, who he struck into some sort of a deal with the state of Connecticut or Rhode Island. I can't remember which one it is now at the moment. But they basically ponied up the money to fund this game on promises that they would make their money back or get paid their money back. And then it didn't happen. The game didn't do so well. The deal was screwy or whatever it was, and now there's like a lawsuit, and Big Huge Games is gone. There's no chance of us seeing a sequel to this or the rumored MMORPG that they were working on based in their world. It's all kind of, you know, gone out the window. Alright, next up we have L.A. Noire, and this is a Rockstar game that I was really looking forward to when it came out. It was hyped up for having this really sophisticated facial motion capture system, and the characters in this game have really realistic facial expressions, but it's kind of a slow-paced game, and even though it has a big open LA from the past that you can go into, like 40s or 50s, yeah, 40s Los Angeles, nothing is really ever going on. It's not at the level of the Grand Theft Auto games, but it's still really cool. I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of a new iteration of LA Noire down the road. Alright, here we have another of the RPGs that I mentioned in that small group of RPGs that I was trying to track down. It's another Square Enix game, and it's called The Last Remnant. I don't know anything about it, haven't played it, but Square Enix, and one of the few RPGs from the 360 that called out to me, so I'm glad to have it in my collection. This one kind of makes me laugh. This was a cheap pickup. It's a Leisure Suit Larry box office bust, and such a prophetic title down there, because if you can consider just game sales in general like the box office of a movie theater, this game was a bust. It's probably considered to be one of the worst Leisure Suit Larry games that's been released, and it was a cheap purchase for me, so there it is. Alright, next up we have Lollipop Chainsaw. This was a game that looked really exciting to me. It was something I really wanted to pick up when it came out, which I did, and I've never played it. And it ties into another game later on in my collection, which I'll mention when I get to it, but this is done by, it was a Suda51. It was actually a combination effort from Suda51, who's known for some particular games, and I can't think of the exact ones right now. Yeah, I can't. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, and he paired up with famed Hollywood director James Gunn to create this game. The only thing I've really heard about it is that it's relatively short, but it's also kind of crazy because you've got this cheerleader here, and then that's her boyfriend's head hanging off her belt loop, and she has a big chainsaw gun. Crazy. Alright, and here's another of the 360 RPGs that I was just mentioning a minute ago. This one is Lost Odyssey. Another one that I wanted to pick up, and finally I tracked it down. I don't think there's any more after this one of this group of games I wanted to get. There's only one more in this group, and they're not related to one another necessarily, but they're just, for me, it was like a mental list. But the other one that I wanted to track down is Eternal Sonata, and I have not been able to get that one yet. Alright, up next we have my Platinum Hits copy of Lost Planets. Lost Planet Extreme Condition, and this is the Colonies edition that has new playable characters, multiplayer modes and maps, and powerful new weapons. This was a game that I played on a 360 demo display in my Walmart that I used to work at, and I just really thought it was amazing. And then I got the game and I played it, and it was still pretty cool, but by that point so many games had advanced, and graphically wise this one was just kind of lagging behind. So that's part of the reason why I ended up picking up Lost Planet 2, but I haven't got to play this one yet. And there's a third one that I don't own, but I will get someday. Alright, now next up we have a video game that ties into one of my favorite television shows, and that is Lost Via Domus. I believe that's the correct pronunciation of it. This was a noble effort at making a game to accompany the show, but it's kind of clunky, and I got stuck in a part and never went back to play it again. Next up we have Madden 11. I'm a fan of the Madden series, but I'm one of those guys who will go like 3 or 4 years between installments. This is the most recent one that I have, and I don't know if I'm going to get a newer installment. This one serves my purposes just fine. Here's kind of an underrated and hidden gem for the 360, and that's Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom, excuse me. Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom. I don't really know how to explain this. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, this looks like maybe a 360 attempt at a Shadow of the Colossus style game, but it's not really that. It's just different. You play as, I believe this guy is Majin. I'm going to look. It doesn't really say on the back here, but you play as this guy, and this big guy is sort of an ally that comes along and helps you for puzzles or enemy disposal. I don't quite remember, I skipped over something alphabetically again because this is not a complete game, but I have a copy of Lego Batman. This was thrown in on an eBay deal or something like that in this case, so there it is for what it's worth. I'm not a super huge fan of the Lego games, to be honest. But next up is something that I am a super huge fan of, despite the fact that I've only played a little of the first game, but this is the Mass Effect trilogy, with Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I've played a little bit into Mass Effect, and then I got stuck on something, and it kind of pissed me off, and I haven't played it again, but it doesn't mean I hate the series. I plan on trying to go back and play this again someday. Alright, last couple of games for this part. Max Payne 3. Another Rockstar game. I was a marginal fan of the first two Max Payne games, but when this one was coming out and was being advertised, it looked awesome, so I decided to go ahead and grab it, and then I'll play it someday after I've completed the first two. And up next is my 360 copy of Mercenaries 2: World in Flames. I'm not a big fan of this second game, despite the fact that the first game is one of my favorite games of all time. This was a bit of a letdown. Looks nice, just doesn't have the same play or feel as the first game. And we'll end part 3 with sort of a Microsoft staple, well, a PC staple anyway. So it makes sense that the Xbox 360 got a version of it. But that's Minecraft, a game that I resisted so very hard in the original days that it came out, and I saw stuff about it. But eventually I crumbled, picked this up, got lost in a couple of worlds just digging and building stuff. It's a fun game. This is a sit down and chill game. If you want to blow stuff away, go find a shooter. But if you want to relax, sit down with Minecraft. The music is amazing, and the concept is amazing. It's like virtual Lego world. Well, that wraps it up for part 3. I'm going to wrap this up like I just said, and move on to the next part. So stay tuned for that.